beautiful way to begin to step into Shabbat. We recognize that we are at every moment prepared to pray and are in fact preparing for every moment, a moment of prayer, of introduction, of reflection. Shabbat Shalom to all. I'm glad to be back here. I was saying to my colleagues here how meaningful it is to feel that with Shabbat they can have a do-over of sorts from the things that took place in the last week, for which you want to just sort of shake off and have a chance to try again. And so as we reflect on the week now ending and Shabbat just before us, I greet you and invite Molly and Don and Olivia to do the same.
Shabbat Shalom. I invite you to gather up your candles, whatever kind you've got, and in a few minutes, light candles along with me and my family so that you and your families can join us and we can all be together. Shabbat Shalom.
And I say Shabbat Shalom to you from Mars. It's kind of dark and stormy outside right now, so if I'm joined with a little bit of percussion section, it's creation rumbling in all its glory behind me, and hopefully I don't lose power or you'll lose me, in which we'll see what happens. But I invite you to turn to page 10 if you're in a prayer book with Hini Matov, that it is good and it is pleasant and it is right to be together right here and right now. Hine matovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matovu manayim 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 shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov yadarai yadadadadadai. Hine matov yadarai yadadadadadai. Hine matovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Wonder if we lost Don. There he is.
There I am. Sorry about that. And we are going to do Shalom Alechem, which is on page 24. Shalom Alechem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Borechem l'shalom, Malachei השלום מלאכי עליון ממלך מלאכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ברכוני לשלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי עליון ממלך מלאכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא צאתכם לשלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי עליון ממלך מלאכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
From Psalm 96, Shir Chadash, sing unto God a new song. Shabbat with light. We welcomed the Shabbat angels with Shalom Aleichem, and now we continue with Lecha Dodi, just the Lecha Dodi and Shabbat Shalom. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Likrat Kala,
Beautiful. So much fun. Really a lovely, lovely way to greet Shabbat. Normally, we used to, when we'd gather in the room that is pictured behind me, gather in the sanctuary for Shabbat, invite everyone to reach out to a neighbor, to someone before you, behind you, across the aisle. So when you haven't seen in a while, someone who doesn't yet have the privilege of knowing you, of having made your acquaintance and befriending you and you, they. So we invite you, if you have a word of welcome or a word of greeting, and want to wish Shabbat Shalom, to do so in the chat within our YouTube stream here. And also, if you have news you want to share, happy news or something you want to let the entire community know about, I want to share two pieces that came across my desk this week. One is to welcome a newest baby into our Road of Shalom family, Lila Luma Busis, who was born to David and Catherine Busis and is the granddaughter of Cindy Shapira and also Neil Busis, and is the grandniece, if I have my family tree correct, to Jim and Maureen Busis. So mazel tov to all of you. And Blaine Dinkin, daughter of our members Elliot and Laura Dinkin, recently received an award from CMU Women's Association. The CMWA Awards began in 1964 to honor an outstanding woman at the university. There's a preference for students who demonstrate a commitment to the advancement of women in their academic pursuits. So mazel tov, Blaine, on winning that award. Blaine is currently a graduate student, soon to graduate this month, I understand, with a MS, Master's in Science in Healthcare Policy and Management from the Heinz College of Information Systems and Public Policy. So mazel tov and Shabbat Shalom to all. We continue now with Sadiq Katamar. Our prayer book's on page 22. And Don, it's to you.
And it's the indented section on page 22. So I'm going to play, and I encourage you, as we are all the righteous, I encourage you to bloom in song and sing along with me here at the piano. Continuing on page 29, if you follow along or just listen to these words, O God, you are as near as the very air we breathe, yet farther than the farthermost star. We yearn to reach you. We seek the light and warmth of your presence. Though we say you are near, we are lonely and alone. O let our desire be so strong that it will tear the veil that keeps you from our sight. Let your light release our darkness and reveal the glory and joy of your presence.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach.
Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam va'ed.
O God, as you taught Torah to those whose names we bear, teach us Torah too. Torah's mystery beckons, yet we struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for each of us. Did you intend the struggle for us as well? Do not let us struggle alone. Help us to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead us into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
May we find redemption, may we find happiness in the small spaces, may we find joy in the staying put. No highways, no office buildings, no crowded roadways. May we find peace in our own kitchens. May our four walls feel like a sanctuary to us, a haven from a noisy world. May we take pleasure in a bad pun, a bowl of popcorn, laughing with the people closest to us, patting the grateful dog, the clever cat. May we discover the joy of writing letters on paper, in baking cookies, in the birds visiting our early spring garden. May we find ourselves fully in the present moment where all of life is happening right now, and worries about the future do not exist. May we invent ways to help people who need us, because times like this were made to remind us that we are all the same. Even as we wrap ourselves in a blanket of solitude, may we discover the secrets of the universe from our spot on the couch. And may we each be so well loved that others will rejoice when we are finally able to run into their arms again. We celebrate with family and with friends the precious gift of freedom.
Michamocha on page 40. Baruch atah Adonai Kal Yisrael. Our people's nighttime prayer, Hashkivenu, is found on page 42.
And on page 44, V'shamaru. V'shamaru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam beni uvein bnei Yisrael oti leolam leolam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz uvayom hashivi Shabbat vayinafash.
Enter into the Tefillah, which begins on page 46. First, we're going to do this meditation together. to invite you to rise with me as you are able. And we're facing east, and we're praying the Amidah as we like, with the text or with the words of our own hearts.
Ratzon imrefi vegion libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri Adonai tzuri
I have the privilege of sharing with you the news of a significant birthday. Elaine David celebrates 80 years, her 80th birthday today, May 29th, 1940. And we celebrate with Helene and her husband, Sion, such an important and significant part of our congregation since moving here in retirement from their home in Uniontown, where Sion was the rabbi for many years, and Helene his faithful companion and helpmate, and with their 2 children and their 4 grandchildren, rounding out their lives and completing a rabbinical family and rabbinical career that took them to Scotland and Johnstown and Uniontown, and now to us here in Pittsburgh. We celebrate what was kindled in youth group with social action so long ago. Elaine was sharing with me that her father was Orthodox, but she was inspired by the liberal expression of Judaism, Reform Judaism, and social action in youth group. And who would have imagined that these many decades later, we'd be reflecting on a life so beautifully shared and spent. And we celebrate, Helene, with you and with Sion and with your family. Your life as a homemaker, an antique dealer in financial services, as a rebbitzin, as a rabbinic spouse, and active volunteer in the women's movement in the 70s, and as president of NOW in Johnstown, and in so many ways, innumerable and generous have been your contributions. And so with Molly's help, we'll share with you the words of Shehechianu, our expression of gratitude and gladness to God, to the source of life, for life itself, for your life, for health, which we enjoy today, and for the privilege of pausing to reflect on and to celebrate with one another moments of joy. Avodah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higyanu lazman hazeh.
Mazel tov once more. I want to transition now and really change our mood, if you will, as we pause for Misha Berach. We'll share names of those of whom we know by name. We've been culling our list, and I invite you to share names with us over the course of the week, and we'll include them in our Shabbat reading. But we're also incredibly mindful of the amount of sadness and loss, sickness and death, in fact, that our country is facing, not only with the pandemic, COVID-19, but also with cities aflame and racial strife being pulled. And it's just a frightful, frightful time. And we're seriously aware of the ways in which, or the degree to which, our world is in need of repair. And so tonight, as we share Misha Berach, for those whose names you might like to lift up in the chat portion of our stream, the names that we read here, those you say to yourselves, and the families of all those who suffer for their families' losses and for all that we shoulder as a nation. We are mindful of Nancy Berkowitz and Millard Balloon, Richard Breen and Gary Goldhammer, Naum Kaplan, Lee Kramer, Lev Podorovsky, Maria Pukshansky, Zev Ben Simcha, and Elchanan Ben Chaya. And we are mindful as well of those who suffer anxiety and addiction, loneliness and loss, isolation and infection, fear and grief. And together we join our voices in Misha Berach. I want to share with you some thoughts that feel appropriate given that we are in the midst of our Shavuot celebration. The Shavuot festival takes place 49, then 50 days after we inaugurate Passover, after our celebrating our redemption, our deliverance, our leaving, our exodus from Egypt. We come, as the tradition tells us, to the base of Mount Sinai. 7 weeks, 49 days later, and on the 50th day, we gather. The Torah portion for this week, or for this holiday, is the Ten Commandments. And we return to the reading of the Ten Commandments because the Ten Commandments are for us a metonym, a representative part that embodies the whole. And so when we see the two tablets above our ark, perhaps, or on a lapel of a uniform, or even just the Ten Commandments themselves, we understand that they are a metonym, a part that represents the larger corpus of Torah, and not just revealed tradition, but all learning ever since. And so we return to the story of the Ten Commandments, of Moses and the Israelites approaching the mountain, Moses ascending the mountain, and then returning with that which was understood, if you will, as a marriage contract between God and the Jewish people. It's a curious story. So much about the story of the giving of the Ten Commandments is curious, and we might think is counterintuitive. Consider, there are two stories, if you remember, about the giving of the Ten Commandments. In the first, Moses goes up the mountain, is there for 40 days and 40 nights, and when he comes down, at the base of the mountain, the people have created the golden calf, and Moses hurls the tablets to the floor. They're broken, they're laid waste. And then he's enjoined to go up a second time, carve a second set of tablets, schlep these to the top of the mountain, and there receive the 10 Commandments, as it were, a second time. It's a very curious way of introducing God's law into the community, to suggest that there was a first version that didn't quite make it all the way, and there was a second version, a beta version, that took place afterwards. What's more, Moses is described in our tradition as a stutterer. You'll forgive me, but Moses would have a hard time getting a job reading the local news on any network station or on the radio. And yet he's the one whose mouth will give forth the words of God. It's a very curious choice. What's more, we're told that everyone in the entire community, all the folks who had left, all the former slaves who had left Egypt, gathered together at the base of Mount Sinai. Singular verbs are used to describe their encampment, and it is the first time, for instance, for that matter, it is the only time that we know of where in a religious tradition, which has a revealed source such as the Torah, that the entire community enters into relationship with that text simultaneously. In every other religious faith tradition where there is a revealed text, it comes to a given individual, he or she discovers it, they dig it up, they receive it in the wilderness, and then they begin to share the good news, as it were. Judaism alone posits that the entire community was present, and we've gone one step further and suggested that every Jew who ever lived, subsequent, everyone who ever converts into the community, likewise was present at Mount Sinai. A significant but curious way of reading the story. And then finally, we read that the description of what took place there is crazy. You can learn more about it if you join us tomorrow at 9 a.m. for our Torah study. We're going to be looking at this very story of Revelation, but it's a story in which, just to pique your interest, it's described that at the moment that Torah came into existence, or at the moment that heaven touched earth, people heard the lightning and saw the thunder. Interesting. And not a bird or animal chirped or made a sound, and everything fell silent. They heard the lightning and saw the thunder. It's a strange story, I tell you. It's an amazing story in so many ways, and the entire community, as I mentioned, is described as being in the very same place. But here's another curiosity, and Olivia, with your help, if you'll put up the slide, I want to call your attention to a particular verse. In this verse, we are told that when we take the census, when we enumerate the people who are gathered at the base of Mount Sinai, when we account for each and every individual there, it was necessary for each and every individual to make a contribution. And in that way, they sort of voted, or they made their presence known, that each individual was to contribute and to share with the larger community. And significantly, look at this verse, so interesting, that no plague may come upon them. If you look at the verb, it's up in the upper left-hand corner, but not new. We've enlarged it a bit. If you take a look at it, you'll notice that the letters, ignore the vowels, but the letters make the word into a palindrome. Vav, nun, taf, nun, vav, but not new. To contribute, to give, is also to receive, a palindrome being a word that reads forward and backward the same. And thus we see that in the act of caring for others, in the act of the individual prioritizing the community, we see that these acts of caring are sharing, and they are reciprocal and mutually self-reinforcing. To give, our tradition tells us, is to receive. To consider another is to take care of ourselves. And we are all the better in the bargain. Olivia, thank you. And so it is that on Shavuot, when God gives to us the Torah, when we receive the Torah, and ever since, we have been in dialogue with one another, the Jewish people and God, the Jews themselves, you and I, and everyone with whom we share relationships. Our exchange, our sharing, even our sheltering in place, even as we reach out to one another, these are reciprocal acts of goodness and generosity. This is what we celebrate on Shavuot. This model of covenantal relationship, this model of Moses and Israelites entering into a covenant on Shavuot with God, this we can create with one another, for one another, not new in the Hebrew. And so we do extend ourselves to one another, and therein we are ourselves the recipients, and we become therein the gift. May each of us continue in the challenging days ahead. May each of us continue to be for one another a blessing in these ways to one another, for one another, that our world may be made more whole. May we do this each and every day and evermore. Shabbat Shalom.
So we begin, oh, that's really bright. We begin to draw our service to its conclusion with the Aleinu prayer, reminding ourselves that Aleinu, it's on us, just as the rabbi said. It's on us. Now we've heard these things, now we're going to do them. As you're able, rise in body or spirit. For Aleinu on page 282. Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשיבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת, אין עוד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We turn our thoughts now to those who have departed this earth, those taken from our midst, but not our hearts in these most recent days, and those the anniversary of whose passing we mark with Yahrzeit this week. We mention the following. We remember Gladys Estelle Bronstein-Burstein, Rabbi Sissy Koren, Ed Frim, Mary Del May, Barbara Bobby Rosenfeld, Doris Dory Rudolph, Thomas Silverman, Robert Sommerfeld, Joan Whitehill, Toby Wolkin. We are aware also of all those who we have lost as a country, most recently. So many lost so senselessly to COVID-19 as well as senseless violence. And we are mindful especially of Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd. And to these we add the following. The anniversary of whose passing we mark as well. Alan Berkman, Norton Berman, Robert Brock, Aaron David, Benjamin Davis, Herbert Goldstein, Florence Harrop, Ann Can, Alan Lefkowitz, Gittel Meyerson, Gladys Ziff Miller, Stella Neeland, Jody Novick, Rose B. Rosenbaum, Martin Stenger, Paul Steiner, Murray Thaw, Rose Wertheimer, and Jeanette Widom. Inviting you to share names of those you remember now, those whose names you'd like to lift up in the chat function as we dedicate this recitation of our ancient and hallowed Kaddish to their memories together now. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah. Bi'alma divra chirute, bimlich malchute, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Yehi Shmei Rabbah, Mevarach Le'olam Haya. Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitramam, V'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalal, Shmei Dekudsha, B'richu. Le'ela min kol berchata, V'shirata, Tushbachata, V'nechamata. Da'amiran Bilma, V'imru. Amen. Yehi Shlomo Rabbah min Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu v'Kol Yisrael v'Imru Amen. Say Shalom b'mromav, Say Shalom Aleinu v'Kol Yisrael v'Imru Amen. May the source who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, to all the world. And we say together, Amen.
Amen. Oh, say Shalom b'mromav.
Shabbat Shalom and Shavuot Shalom. This has been a phenomenal Shavuot so far, with just the Jewish world alive on the internet. I hope folks have had the opportunity to either spend some time with the programs earlier in the week with the JCC, the Jewish Federation online. There's things going on throughout the weekend. Shavuot is 2 days for our own community. Rabbi Bisno will be leading our Torah study tomorrow morning on the Jewish concept of revelation. Some wonderful sources to read into, and that will be at 9 o'clock through the link in the Shalomogram. Throughout the week, we have, and our service following at 10:30 a.m. Throughout the week, we have some wonderful events. Tina Fagan, the pianist and violinist, will be our guest for our Music and Culture at Home series, which is Thursday at 3 p.m. There's also a Classrooms Without Borders program, also at Thursday at 3 p.m., featuring Rabbi Bisno. So you will have your fill. I believe we also have, at the same time, a youth group event. So it is a very holy hour next Thursday at 3 p.m. Many more events, including the Christian Jewish Dialogue and Talmud class Wednesday night. Flip that. Christian Jewish Dialogue noon on Thursday. Talmud class with Rabbi Tuckman Wednesday night. I was up rather late with the Shavuot celebrations. We are also in annual meeting season. The Brotherhood annual meeting will be on Zoom on Tuesday, June 2nd, and the Women of Road of Shalom have their annual meeting on Sunday, June 7th at 11 a.m. All these links in the Shalomogram. If you're not receiving the Shalomogram or various other emails throughout the week, please let us know so that we can loop you in and make sure that we can all be together, even as we are in our separate Ohalim. So after the service, the link for our Zoom Oneg, it's in the chat. It's in the information for the video you're watching right now. And I hope to see some folks there soon. Don will lead us in our closing song of Olam Chesed Yibaneh.
So this has been a hard week. And it's good to have stepped into this time of holiness together. And this song came on my heart today, and I thought we needed to do it. It's very simple. It's Manach Predators, Olam Chesed Yibaneh, that God's steadfast love is confirmed forever. And our part of Tikkun Olam can start with a very simple word, which is that of love. And everything in this song is based on build this world from love. And I'll help you through it. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, ta-da-dai, dai-dai, da-da-dai. Olam Olam chesed yibane, Olam chesed yibane, I will build this world from love. And you must build this world from love. And if we build this world from love, then God will build this world from love. Olam chesed yibane, Olam chesed yibane, Olam chesed yibane, Olam chesed yibane,
I want to conclude with the following. What if we thought of this time of isolation as we consider Shabbat, the most sacred of times? Cease from travel, cease from buying and selling, give up just for now on trying to make the world different than it is. Sing, pray, touch only those to whom we have committed our lives. Center down. And when your body has become still, reach out with your heart. Know that we are connected in ways that are at once terrifying and beautiful. You could hardly deny that now. Know that our lives are in one another's hands. Surely this has become clear. Do not reach out your hands. Reach out instead your hearts, your words, all the tendrils of compassion that move invisibly where we cannot touch. Promise this world your love, for better or for worse, sickness and in health, so long as we all shall live.
Kiddush for Shabbat is found on page 5 in the Siddur. And I hope you've already gotten your grape juice or your wine ready. And join with us. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitanu b'mitzvotav ve'atzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho ve'ahavu ratzon hinkilanu, zikaron le'maaseh bereshit, ki hu yom tefillah le'mikra'ei kodesh, zefer l'yetziat Mitzrayim, ki banu b'charta ve'atanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahavu ratzon hinchaltanu, baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Amen. Chaim.
And the blessing for Challah. my challah right after I made my cheesecake. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Thank you.
Shabbat
everybody.
shalom.
Biblically,
with
it
you.
must be from the same end. Otherwise,
See you soon.